Are you afraid to ask for time off for religious holidays? Or have you been told that you can have the time, but it'll be unpaid, or you've got to use vacation days? Well, human rights legislation applies to this circumstance and effectively gives people an entitlement to religious days off without loss in pay. Now, let's clarify a few things. First of all, many people assume that because two Christian holidays are statutory holidays, Christmas and Easter, that people of other religions are also entitled to paid religious holidays. That's not true. On the flip side, many employers assume that if somebody wants time off for a religious holiday that's not a statutory holiday, they've got to take it as unpaid or use things like vacation time or PTO. That's also not true. That's unfair because, frankly, it's discriminatory for people of one religion to get paid religious days off, whereas people of other religions don't. That's a breach of the Human Rights Code. So how do you reconcile all of this? The Ontario Human Rights Commission actually put out a really helpful policy paper many years ago, which effectively concerned that people are entitled to the religious time off without loss of pay. So what that means is that they can, for example, substitute other time, work overtime, work extra hours, and then use that time for religious days off. Or they can also treat statutory holidays. Remember that employees can always agree to work on a statutory holiday and then take another day off instead. So that's all the result of communication and discussion. Those are two of the examples of what you can do. Remember as well that there are limits to this form of accommodation. First of all, it only applies to legitimate religious holidays, not ones that are made up or for a religion that has no connection to the employee itself. Remember as well that all forms of accommodation are limited to the extent that they can't go beyond undue hardship. Now, that's a high burden to meet, and it's going to be pretty hard for an employer to show that giving you time off to observe religious holidays is undue hardship. But if they can, then you might be out of luck. Generally speaking, I think it's really important to remember if you're an employee, you're asking for religious days off, give sufficient notice, work with your employer. This should be a discussion, not a demand, and figure out a way that makes sense for both sides. Document everything so that if this becomes contentious, you can show that you behaved reasonably. And if you're an employer and you're facing requests like this, first of all, don't just do what a lot of employers do, which is reject the request and seek legal advice later. Make sure to work with your employment lawyer, understand your obligations, but also your rights, and then work with the employee to find a resolution that makes sense for everyone. Bottom line is the law provides for religious holidays off without loss of pay in most circumstances. This should be the result of communication and compromise. It should not become a legal battle. That's all for today. Follow us for more employment law updates and advice.